this video number 23, which will discuss essay number 3 in the assignment sheet, and at the end a little bit about the topic proposal for this essay too. Essay number 3 is going to be an argumentative research essay. It's going to be 5 to 6 double-spaced pages, and it will be worth the largest portion of your grade, so 250 points or 25% of your overall grade. So you can see all that information right up here at the top of the assignment sheet. In terms of peer review, we are going to have 2 different peer reviews for this essay instead of the normal one. Both of them will be for essay number 3. One of them will be more of a rough draft for peer review, and the other one will be a final draft. So week 13, so I'm looking at the schedule right now. Let me take this away so it's not distracting. Week 13, so Monday, April 19th, you should email me your essay number 3 draft. So the final draft should be around 5 to 6 pages. For this draft, it's just trying to provide 2 to 3. So it's just a rough draft, a starting point. If you have all 5 to 6 pages, that's fine. But it's just striving to start somewhere. It can be a rough draft for sure, just trying to figure out where you're going to go. So Monday night, you're going to email me your rough drafts of your essay, and then you'll do this peer review just like you were for essays 1 and 2. Upload those comments and the question guide by Thursday, April 22nd. Then we'll have the annotated bibliography due, and I'll have a separate video about that assignment. And then the second peer review will be week 15. On Monday, May 3rd, you'll email me your drafts, and this will be more of a final draft. So ideally, what I'm assuming everybody will be doing is taking the comments and feedback they got from the first peer review, the rough draft peer review, revising accordingly, and submitting a more finished, polished draft for week 15 for the second peer review. So this is going to be for Monday, May 3rd, and then you should be finished with that peer review by Wednesday, May 5th. And then the final draft of that essay is Sunday, May 9th, okay, by 11:59 p.m. So that's the breakdown of the due dates and everything. That's my cat, so apologize for that, or maybe not. Trying to get all I have so many files on here. And you can also see all the dates I just discussed up at the top of the assignment sheet. So the essay number 3, again, is an argumentative research paper. Your argument, so most of you have probably heard of an argumentative research paper before, or you have written one yourself. You are going to form an argument based on your analysis of something going on in the world, whatever that means. I have a lot of examples. I have an example on Blackboard that I can discuss a little bit more in the argument videos, because there will be 2 other videos talking about argument that you also want to watch in addition to this video, because that's going to help explain what I mean by argument a lot more. But mainly what I want to talk about here is a lot of times people, when they think about argument, they think of only 2 sides. So it's either Democrat versus Republican, man versus woman, right versus wrong. That's a binary, when you have a binary opposition. I mentioned that a little bit in the rhetorical analysis video. But if you have 2 opposing sides, a lot of times I see arguments with argumentative binaries. So it's either like a should or should not. It's just or unjust. It's 2 sides that are going on. And I want you to try to get out of that idea, because if you have just only 2 sides, it doesn't show the whole picture. It doesn't show a lot of potential avenues and ideas and observations that could be thought of if we just stick with the 2-sided argument. Try to break that binary, try to go beyond just the 2 sides in that gray area. That will be probably one of the more challenging aspects of this essay, because it is easier to just do should or should not, or 2 sides. But that's the thing about writing. Try to complicate your ideas. Try to think more critically. I will say sometimes what people get confused when I say that is that they think that just because they don't have 2 sides, they just pick one and they're fine. But that's what a lot of people end up doing. Don't just pick one. Your argument should not just be one side or the other. it should just be beyond that. It should try to find that gray area. And I'll have an example essay up on Blackboard as well for you to look at. And I think there's a Compost book entry for that as well. But you will have a claim, which kind of your main claim, your argument, that sees multiple sides of the issue, not just two opposing viewpoints. You're going to find your evidence from the world around you, from your observations, and also research. So you should have 5 outside credible sources. And I have those videos from earlier in the semester about credible sources. The information still applies now. So if you have any questions about research, first go back and rewatch those videos from essay number 2 if you have any questions. But interpret your data, analyze it, use your information that you have, your evidence, your observations, research as evidence to support your thesis, as well as to present at least one counter argument. So that counter argument is going to be something, at least another perspective, not the other perspective, but just another perspective to show that you are thinking beyond your own argument, that you're thinking about other perspectives there too. I don't ever say that, I don't like saying that certain topics are off limits. I have these listed here because a lot of times when students write about these issues, these topics here that I have highlighted on the screen, they typically are should or should not. So for abortion, it is possible to write an argument paper about abortion that's not either just two sides. They should pro-life or pro-choice. That's typically the two sides that I hear. I've had students almost kind of go there, kind of get into the gray area through analysis, but then they change their minds and they swerve and discuss something different. If you are able to prove before you write anything in your topic proposal that you can write about any of these topics without writing a binary, you might be able to write about them. I might approve them. I have to approve them first. For example, if you're writing about gun control, usually the two sides I see are like all guns or no guns. But in reality, a gray area of that example would be maybe background checks, maybe background checks for people who have a history of violent behavior or harming animals or harming partners or something like that. They wouldn't be allowed to get guns. So it's not necessarily everybody gets a gun or nobody gets a gun. Maybe say, well, if you have a history of this behavior, you can't get it. That would be some type of gray area. That's not one or the other. It's in the middle. School uniforms, I haven't heard that argument in a while, but it's easy to go should or should not have uniforms. Vaccinations, the autism link, that's one that's been controversial for a few years. That actually, maybe if somebody can find some new argument with the COVID vaccination, that might be really interesting to do. I don't know, but it should definitely be beyond should or should not somebody get the vaccination. It should be beyond that. Capital punishment or death penalty. I've heard, death penalty should or should not be legalized. That's, oftentimes that's a binary. Drug legalization, sure, may or not marijuana be legalized or not. And college athletes be paid. I've heard this one so many times, and honestly, it's overdone. But should college athletes be paid or not? If you can find some other type of niche for this one beyond just the athletes should or should not be paid, let me know and I can talk to you about that. But all of these, if you you can write a binary for any topic really, but these are the ones I've seen the most in the past few years. So I don't want to ever say a topic is completely off limits, but if you really want to write about one of these, send me an email with your thinking and kind of how your argument's going to go, and I can talk to you about it. Okay, so again, you want to have 5 different outside sources. Only use scholarly sources. If you use you can use .com sources, you can use Google, but make sure they're credible. Again, go back and watch my credible sources video. Should have a claim. Do not have a binary. Should have a title for this essay. That's just essay number 3. Be specific with your language. Don't just say, the research. A lot of times I see the research says, and my question is, what research? In today's society, you could say a specific year or time period that you're talking about. Don't write a 5-paragraph essay. So we've talked about this before. Make sure your paragraphs build upon each other so that each paragraph isn't just a list. Evidence, you can use personal experience, which can also be really interesting in this paper. Not everybody does it because it's not relevant to everybody's paper, but it can be really helpful if you have a personal experience, the author, you can add a paragraph or something to, this is my experience, this is how this experience supports my argument. Or you could use somebody else's personal experience, an article that you found, or somebody that you know. That could be also really interesting. Outside research, observations, reasoning that I talked about earlier, and those should be used to support your thesis. And then you should also show the connecting. So you should show that this information is supporting your thesis, and you should show how. So as a reader, I should be able to understand not that this is just a quote, but how and why it supports your thesis. Have at least one counter argument, and of course, double space, Times New Roman, 12-point font, and 5 to 6 pages. Then you got the topic proposal, which is similar to the topic proposal for your second paper. This is due on April 14th. So if we go back to the schedule, this is due, topic proposal is due Wednesday, the 14th. And I have this on a Wednesday instead of a Sunday because I will need time to kind of comment on it and give you feedback before the next assignment is due, which is the first peer review. Okay, so I want to make sure I give you feedback on that. And it takes time to give feedback on all of them. So the assignment for here is at least one double-spaced page, explain the topic you have chosen, and describe your working thesis and what you have discovered. So just kind of think about it as like a brainstorm, but not something you have to write a full draft of. Though the writing you write for your topic proposal should not be like your first page of your essay. I want you to explain your thinking, what you're thinking about, what your argument might be, kind of show me or inventing in your thought process so I can help you kind of fine tune those ideas so when you go to start writing, you have a more concrete idea with my feedback. Must be at least one double-spaced page. It can be more. Must describe the topic you have chosen. Must explain in as specific detail as possible a working thesis and what you have done so far to reach that thesis and main claim argument. So if you don't have a working thesis, it doesn't have to be the thesis you end up with for your essay, but if I can't see that like kind of thinking, that working thesis there, that's going to be a lesson grade there, as I say down here. This again, if you write like half a page, that's not a full page. It's just one double-spaced page. But the purpose of this topic proposal, similar to essay number 2 topic proposal, is to help me see your thinking and to help me give feedback before you submit a kind of a formal draft. If you need to send this beforehand, before that time period, you definitely can. If you need to conference with me about your topic at all, I can definitely help with that as well. If you want to set up a conference outside of office hours, feel free to do that. I'm happy to read essay drafts, at least a week before the essay's final draft is due, which would be the Sunday prior to May 9th. And so, and also I want to say too, I don't think I've said this before, I do have some weeks where there's kind of like less to do. There's fewer videos, there's fewer assignments. I specifically plan most of my classes to be very top heavy, meaning there's a lot going on at the beginning of the semester, but not necessarily as much going on the end of the semester. So making sure that you are kind of have that time of the semester to work on like the bigger assignments, but the assignments at the beginning of the semester are meant to help you craft your skills and understand what's going on to build upon. So all my assignments for the semester are meant to build together. So please let me know if you have any questions about essay number 3 or the topic proposal, and make sure to watch the other videos, video number 24 about the annotative bibliography and video number 25, parts A and B, in order to talk about argument more. But otherwise, have a great day.